Hey everybody, welcome to another Volition stream. Streaming on a bit of a different day this week because it turns out it's the 11th anniversary of Saints Row 2 already, somehow. But hi, I'm Josh Stinson, the video editor here at Volition and stream producer, stream czar, whatever.
Extraordinaire.
Extraordinaire. I don't know if I can put that on my LinkedIn yet.
I can.
You can verify me?
For you,
okay,
absolutely,
great,
yes.
great. On the couch today, we've got
Senior Community Developer Mike Watson.
Thomas Jepp, aka Minimaul.
Jeff Slutter, Studio Director of Programming.
Jim Boone, Studio Development Director.
Mike Kulas, General Manager, Volition.
And since Mike is on the couch today, we have somebody else moderating the chat today. It's Derek Wade. Say hello, kind of loudly, so the mics get you.
Hello.
Thanks. But yeah, it's the 11th anniversary, and we've done some anniversary streams in the past for the Saints Row franchise, but this one's a little bit different. Jim, can you tell us why this stream is different?
I can. I am very happy to announce that after a long period of time, we have actually found the source code for Saints Row 2, and what that means is we're actually going to fix Saints Row 2 PC. That is a thing that is going to happen now.
Yeah. Mike, how long has this been going on for? How long have we been trying to find the source code for Saints Row 2?
Well, let's see. Probably 6.5 years ago, I floated the idea to Jeff Thompson, who was our previous programming director, after I went and saw Saints Row 4 in LA, about how great it would be if we could release the source code to community so modders could do more stuff with the game. Jeff tried to find it. I eventually started here. Been talking to everybody, been talking to Jim, only occasionally.
Only occasionally. Every once, I think maybe once or twice. A month.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A week?
Yeah, right. Something like that.
Yeah.
I think I annoyed the shit out of Jim with constantly
I didn't even
talking.
know you were a fan of Saints Row 2 when you first started.
We're constantly trying to find a way that we could try to track the source code down. And we finally did. It's kind of an interesting story that we'll be getting into.
So yeah, I guess if we want to trace this all the way back to the beginning, I guess with you and Thomas here, how, even before you started working here, Mike, you've just been a huge fan of Saints Row 2, yeah?
Well, it is my favorite game of all time. I love it. I've got a couple thousand hours playing it, modding it, breaking it even more, fixing it. It's been such a labor of love for me. And being able to now have the means to go in there and actually fix it and fix a lot of the problems with the game is kind of a dream come true. It's been like my mission for the longest time. So it feels so good to finally be able to talk about it and the work that we're doing.
Yeah, and so with this whole project, I guess we should clarify, who all is actually working on these two?
A huge team.
Yeah, we'll go in a little bit about how that happened, but we've contracted Thomas to get in the source code and start doing some fixes. The four main things that we're working on are performance, stability, fixing a lot of the crashing and issues, integrating Steam networking, so co-op will work again in multiplayer, and then also adding the DLC, which was console only, and now we're putting the DLC for PC as well.
Yeah, and we should clarify here for all the work that they're doing. This is like outside office hours style stuff here.
Indeed.
Yeah, this is because in the past we have said we are working on a new Saints Row, but we should clarify everyone here is working on the new Saints Row. It's these two.
Yeah, it's us two. Basically, it's a two-man show. I'm more or less a project manager on it, getting Thomas what he needs to do the technical fixes that the game requires. So yeah.
And Thomas, this isn't your first time officially working on Saints Row stuff either, right?
Well, no. I started off working on the saintsrow.com website and on the Saints Row My Steelport feature for Saints Row 3 and 4.
Right.
Got that working again for PC, 360, PS3. And then that worked on Steam Workshop for Saints Row 4. If any of you use the upload tool on Steam, that's me. And then, that led to this.
Nice. So, you talked about that you've been working on the mod stuff. You also worked on mods for SR2 since their inception, right?
For quite a while. Not quite since their inception. I came in a little late.
Okay.
But I think I've known Mike for about a decade now working on those mods. for Saints Row 2.
It's been a lot of fun finally meeting you in person and hanging out these last couple of days. And
Yeah, this is like the first time you two are actually meeting in person, right? Despite all the...
yeah,
The
indeed.
first real time.
It's pretty crazy.
We got a big, huge body of water between us, so
Yeah, that makes it difficult, I'm sure. So, yeah, the two of you working... Like, what type of mod stuff did you work on?
Well, there was that amazing compilation, of course.
aw.
But my biggest contributions were primarily tooling. So working on newer modding tools, especially for the newer games, like 3 and 4. But also, I run saintsrowmods.com, which is where the community is now, where it's focused.
Cool. So, I guess, Mike, you wanted to find the source code for this game for a really long time. Were you trying to, like, get this going even before you worked here?
Well, yeah. As I mentioned, when I started talking to Volition after seeing Saints Row 4 in LA and talking to Jeff Thompson, it was that was one of the first things I said was, "Hey, can you give us the community the source code so we can go in there and actually fix all these things?" Because the tools that we had were. We could basically work with the game files. We could work with the table files. We could work with the Lua scripting. We could eventually work with the textures, with all the improvements minimaul made to the tools. Thomas Jepp, to the tools over time. But we were still fairly limited in some of the engine issues that we could never really get to. So I've always wanted to get that source code to both extend the functionality of modding and then also to go in there and really fix the issues that came up. So this is a dream come true. I'd like to finally be able to do this stuff.
Yeah. Now, talking about the original port and stuff, Mike, you were here when that was happening, right?
I was here, yeah. That was, when was that? 2006, 7, yeah.
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 Now, we didn't make the port internally, correct?
That is correct. We outsourced it. So Saints Row 2 was the first time we ever did a simultaneous release. PC was a little bit later. And there was a great deal of fear of going from one SKU at a time to 3 SKUs. And Greg Donovan, who it's a shame he couldn't be here, Greg convinced me that we should outsource it. And I think that was instrumental in losing the source code. I think if we had it internally, that maybe we would still have it. But that's why in the old days we put all of our code in the public domain, so it could never be lost. But then we stopped doing that, and now it's not the public domain, by the way. It's there's a license that goes along with it. But anyway, I think Saints Row is the first and only source code that we lost, but it's no longer lost. So.
Yeah, and they must stay anonymous, but we did find somebody. It was Mike. Can you give us a bit of a timeline, like how quickly has all this stuff come together?
Well, I mean, we should probably talk to Jeff, right, about that initial meeting.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Mike came to me and brought up the Saints Row 2 source code, the PC version port of the source code, and that still looking for it, and we had been for a long time. And I think you suggested that we maybe take a look at the console version of the source code, and maybe we could do something with that to kind of report it again, or strip out like the license and first-party console.
Because there's a lot of
APIs.
middleware, right?
Yeah.
With the actual source code, which means if we released it, while ripping that stuff out, it would be kind of useless.
Yep. Yeah, it'd be pretty difficult. So I suggested that maybe we could do one more try of paying someone at the parent company to see if maybe they know anybody.
Yeah, it really felt like a kind of a Hail Mary play, like a last-ditch effort. Like, let's try one more time. You had to talk to our parent company and see if maybe they can somehow find it or find someone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once it was finally found, what was it like? All the meetings, because I know some people here were also involved with those meetings to actually we have it, but I guess the question was at that point, did it seem like we were actually going to be able to do it, or was it still a bit of a dream at that point?
Well, we had one false start where we thought that we found it. Turned out to be a dead end. And it was like crushing to me, right? Like I was like, oh my gosh, we can finally get the source code, and then like, no, we can't, and my heart just sank. But then the second time around, we found someone else, a dev who originally worked on it, who wants to remain anonymous, was able to get it through another party to us. So I was counting the days when they actually flew the hard drive in, and we had our meeting.
That's how it was sent to you? They just flew it in?
Yeah, they flew it in, brought it with
jeez.
them. In fact, I told them, guard that with your life. We can't lose this again.
Yeah, because I mean, at that point, like, if somehow that had been lost, that was probably like, that's it, right?
I would have just cried to sleep every night if we had lost it.
I mean, I'm sure I would have noticed a big change in your mood for like a full year after that point. Like, hey, Mike, hey.
To be that close.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, with all the, like, you've got the meetings happening, trying to figure out how to do this. Were there like any like alternate plans before you settled on like you and Thomas doing it, or was it just like Thomas was like your go-to, like, this is what we do with this stuff?
Well, myself, Mike Kulas, and Jeff, we met about it. It's like, all right, we've got the source code, now what do we do with it, right? Where do we go from here? So I pitched the idea, like, well, this Thomas Jepp character, we have contracted him in the past. What if we contact him and see if he might be interested, in contracting again, see what it would take, what it would cost, how much time it would take, if he thinks it would be even feasible. Because you haven't really worked on like serious game dev stuff and source code like this before, at least when it comes to video games.
No, that's exactly right. My background isn't in game development at all. Pretty much the first time I've worked on a serious title is now working on Saints Row 2 for PC. But that said, I'm pretty familiar with the series, obviously, because I've done a lot of modding work. I've done contract work before with them. So it was kind of a case of, I knew what I was letting myself in for, I thought. But no, it's in all seriousness, I looked at it and I thought, this is achievable. This is something we can really do. And I was really, really happy when Mike asked me. Yeah,
so like, when this was first proposed to you and all that, like, how did like Jeff get you the source code? Was something else flown back to you, or like how were you set up to do this job?
It's a bit more boring, I'm afraid. It's conventional, just over the internet.
Okay,
but,
we didn't launch it at your catapult.
No,
man.
Yeah,
no hand carried drives.
Yeah. When we got the source code on the hard drive, the first thing I did was I went through it, kind of scoured it, and put it into our source control. We actually had the source control before the port, or the source code before the port started.
Right.
And so now we have it after the port. So I was able to see what changes were made and put that into the source control. And so we had basically a pristine copy in our source control of the SR2 PC code.
Cool. Thomas, like you mentioned that you thought you knew what you were in for. Like, what were some new challenges that you were not expecting from working on this stuff?
Okay, so some of it's been okay.
Okay.
You think about the basics, like looking at things like, for example, the odd one didn't run in every resolution people wanted. That's not too bad to fix. But when you start looking at things like testing multiplayer, that's thrown up so many more things. Working on Steamworks multiplayer.
Right.
It's just testing and reproducing bugs when you're testing multiplayer is something that I didn't realise how hard it was going to be. And there's been one or two other little silly bugs. Like,
You were saying some interface stuff was giving you some grief.
Yeah. I mean, these days we use PCs and monitors in lots of aspect ratios, especially ultra-wide. None of the interface was ever designed for ultra-wide, so we had fun with that.
I bet.
And even little things like when I started working on it and I made a small change and all of a sudden NPC legs were spinning when they walked.
Sounds kind of awesome, but...
Yeah, I wish I had a video of that. But,
Oh, man.
But it's loads of little things, and you just find that the odd thing goes into a massive rabbit hole of bugs. But then, equally, you get the odd thing, you fix something, and something completely unrelated suddenly works, and that's lovely.
Oh, nice.
You were mentioning to me that the speed up issues that the game has on Windows 7, especially and 8, and some Windows 10 users, just by some of the work you did with fixing performance and stability, just automatically solved that.
Yeah, so there were timing issues with Saints Row 2 for PC where, unfortunately, for some people it ran faster than others. And when we fixed some of the performance issues, all of a sudden that just went away.
Huh.
And all of a sudden, for everyone, it runs at the same kind of frame rate and the same kind of time passing for the physics.
Yeah.
It also fixed the cutscenes, right? With objects
Yeah.
being misplaced or they were shifted over?
That was the other thing. A lot of cutscenes were really stuttery, or you had elements where, like, it was really obvious in the first cutscene when you just get out of the prison and you're on the boat and you've got Carlos and the player characters next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And as they're on the boat and the boat's moving through the water, they stutter along. And the moment we fixed some of the performance issues, that just suddenly fixed itself and it was beautiful.
Huh.
And all of a sudden I had this beautifully clean cutscene.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
So yeah, while we can't like specifically get into like a giant change list or anything of what's happening, or
That is
anything,
coming eventually.
Yeah, that will be coming eventually. And we also, Mike, we can't say like when this patch is coming out yet, correct?
It's one of those things that where it'll be ready when it's ready.
Right.
We really want to give it the love and care and attention that it needs to really, really shine. We want this port to be just beautiful on all levels.
Yeah.
I'm getting choked up.
It looks like you might have a question here. But also, I guess we should also clarify. We're seeing a few questions asking if we can specifically confirm. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
No, we can't confirm anything else.
Yeah.
We are implementing Steam networking, so co-op and multiplayer works, but
Yeah. Okay. I guess we should also clarify, like, this is a patch for the PC version of the game, but which platforms on PC? Like
Steam.
Just Steam.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Because SR2's on a couple of places, but yeah.
Yeah. Who knows where it'll go from here? But like
Right.
our focus right now is getting the Steam version to be the absolute best it can be.
Okay. So, Mike, working on this, like, how does it feel to finally, like, the light is getting, like, the light at the end of the tunnel is getting close-ish, right? Like, how does it feel?
I'm getting choked up and shedding tears. What do you want, dude?
Cry on stream, Mike. Come on.
Show your heart.
You leave me alone. Yeah, it's really, in a way, it feels like I've come full circle, right? I started in the community modding this game with Thomas, and it's always been a dream of ours. We would talk about this like on forums and in chat and say, man, if only we had that source code. Like, if
Yeah.
only we could, like, dig in there and, like, do more with the game, to mod it more, to create more content, to fix some of these bugs. If only. And it's like now, finally, all the stars aligned, and this came to bear where we can actually do this work. And it's been a lot of work, because I'm kind of acting as the project manager in, like, all the different groups and the work that Thomas is doing. And Thomas is the one doing all the technical work and talking to me with any needs that he has. But it really feels like... I honestly can't believe it's real, but it feels like so good. Like, I'm like so happy to spend all the extra time in the evenings just trying to make all this work. It doesn't
Yeah.
even feel like work. It feels like the best dream.
We got another question here that I'm sure probably won't be able to confirm or anything, but some people are asking you about what is this, like, this new patch, what is it going to mean for the Gentlemen of the Row mod?
Well, a lot of the bug fixes and the scripting fixes will obviously be incorporated into this new version of the game. I do plan on going through Gentlemen of the Row and creating a new version to work well with this fixed version. So yeah, there'll be more details to come there. But we'll see in time. I'll have a little bit more to say about that as we get a little closer.
Yeah. So at this point, I also want to bring up, because it's come up in a couple different streams in the past now, I've talked about, like, when have some other people on talking about the older Saints Row games, I've said, like, I played all the Saints Row games, but I haven't beaten all of them. Specifically, I said, I have never completed Saints Row 2. And everyone in chat got on my ass about that. So it's been kind of a proposed thing at some point, like, you and we need to play Saints Row 2 on stream at some point.
And as those questions came up,
Yeah.
all this stuff was in progress. So when I talked about this on our streams and said, hey, we're just waiting on something. We are just waiting for one thing before we start this Let's Play of Saints Row 2 with Josh and I on our weekly streams. And this is the thing. We want this beautiful fixed PC port to be able to play it and talk and have different Volition devs on to talk about the work of the original work on the game, deep dives into the game, like as we go ahead and play it. And I was going to throw mailboxes at your head.
Wait, sorry, what? Oh, throw mail. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just heard that. And I was just like, what?
You'll see soon enough.
Yeah. I'm sure I'll understand soon and see the light. But yeah, that'll be like a full playthrough of the game. Obviously, we can't say when that will start yet, and it's not going to be like every single week as a playthrough. It'll probably be alternating with the other streams that we do and stuff. We'll be
Not
mixing
one
it up.
full speed playthrough?
Oh yeah, no, we're going to stay here and just
do it
play
nonstop.
until
Yeah. It's disappointing.
be up for 2 days nonstop. But yeah, I'm incredibly excited for that because it's just like, originally when we first talked about that, it's just like, okay, we'll be using the PC version maybe with, the Gentleman in a Row and all the physics fixes that were there already, but just knowing that we're going to have like the really nice shiny version is super exciting to me.
I'm really excited for our players who are on lower end hardware. Because I don't know if you know just how bad it is, but a lot of modern hardware can't even run the game at 30 frames per second.
Right.
Due to a lot of technical issues that Thomas is fixing. But having a wider a range of lower end hardware, being able to play the game well at a good frame rate is just awesome to me. When I first started modding the game and working with the community, I was joining every single forum of everyone talking about this game who's having technical issues and trying to help all those people play the game. Because I love the game so much, to me it was like, man, I just want everybody to experience how glorious this game really is. And now being able to do this work that Thomas is doing, it's so great to me that more players will get to experience this.
Yeah. Now, some people, I think, who are waiting in the chat, and I've seen people just talking the past week or two after you tweet that we're doing this stream, but not saying like what we're doing in it. Some people caught on to what this was going to be. Now, how did that come about?
Yeah, I tweeted a couple things. I think I gave you what those tweets were.
Yeah, they're here somewhere. There was one tweet you made a long time ago saying basically for a long time you have had to say that like when people have asked us like we are not doing any, there's not going to be any Saints Row 2 fixes or remaster or anything like that. You said because we don't have source code and it would be a miracle if we found that.
Right. So yeah. So I made a tweet. This was the second attempt at finding the source code and got confirmation that we finally got it after the first one failed. And that's when I sent out the tweet that says, sometimes miracles actually do happen.
Yeah.
Some people picked up on that. And then when I had the meeting with Mike and Jeff, talk about what to do with it, and we were all like, oh yeah, let's do this. Let's see if Thomas can do the work. And then that got approved by our publisher, and like the contract was all set, and we decided to go ahead and do it. That's when I released the second tweet a little later, which says the miracle somehow got more miraculous.
The quote is exactly previously mentioned miracle just got even more miraculous today. I haven't been able to stop grinning.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because I was so excited about it, and it's really feels surreal, man, that we can actually do
It's really
this.
like I've just been like on the wayside, just hearing you talk every once in a while, like, man, this would be great. Like for a long time, I was just like, oh, it's just never going to happen. That would have been sweet though. and just like even just like not even being involved with the project that's happening, but just seeing you be so excited for it has like made me like I never thought I would be this excited for a patch, right?
Although this is going to be a new app ID, just because it's going to be a new save file that you're going to need. So all of your previous like saves with your boss characters and stuff, like it's not going to overwrite any of that. You can still run this old version of the game, but it'll be a new app ID with a new save file format. And we didn't mention what it's going to cost, right?
Yeah.
And
How
the
much is it going to cost, Mike?
The cost is it's free if you own it on Steam. So
Yeah.
So we're not charging anything for it. It's basically like if you already own the game on Steam, you'll have access to this new version of the game with all these fixes. That's going to run beautiful with all this DLC content. You know, happy birthday, Saints Row 2.
Yay! Yeah, there was one other tweet you made that I wanted to point out too, where you were being like a little cryptic, but saying my love for Saints Row 2 has never wavered, but playing it again for reasons has made me remember exactly why it's my favorite game of all time.
So I did that tweet. I tweeted that when I got the first build from Thomas that had all the high quality audio put in it.
Yeah.
Because we had the original source WAV files, so you converted all that. And being able to listen to the radio in the game and like the activity cutscenes and having it be just beautiful, beautiful quality audio. Oh, my heart sang. It was so good. Like I feel it sounds wonderful. And like with the PC version of the game, you can talk about this technically, like why the audio just sounded odd, right? Like it almost had like a phase effect on it.
Yeah, well, in order to get the audio to work for the PC release, the original release, unfortunately, what they'd used is a thing called ADPCM, which drops samples from the audio. So you end up with a lower sample rate, lower quality version. It just doesn't sound right at all. Now, there were technical reasons, but these days now we have much better audio codecs available, so it sounds like radio. And you can hear the songs and they're beautiful.
Nice.
It was such a magical moment for me to first play this with some performance fixes in and to hear that audio. It was like, oh, this is the game. Like this is the diamond in the rough, right? Like we're chiseling away like all the coal around it to have this diamond just shine so beautifully.
Yeah.
How it should, right? The game deserves it. It's so much fun. Such a great game. I still like testing this out, playing stuff. I still get just wrapped up in the city. Like, for real, Jim's laughing. But for real, though, like, I'll just walk down the street or be going to test something out, and, like, something crazy will happen, and, like, NPCs, like, cops will pull over an NPC, and there'll be, like, a beatdown, and it's, like, the world feels so alive, and just, I feel like every time I play it, I'm always getting into shenanigans.
Yeah.
But to have it just play so well and to sound so good, it's like, man, it's just too good. Like I can't wait to finally have this all finished up and released, so everyone can play it.
Now, one question is, so like eventually this comes out. Now, once it comes out, is that going to be the end of support for it?
Oh no! The plan is to get all our fixes done, to get it shining like the beautiful diamond that it is, and then release it to community, and have community start reporting any bugs or anything that we missed. So there's such a range of disparate hardware out there that we're going to want a lot of feedback from players about any lingering issues to do a final patch to make sure that it's as perfect as it can be.
Thomas, I have one of these things here. I'm curious if you found any more of these, but did you find any curious things written in the comments of the code?
There's a few. There's so much in Play Out Loud. Some, I really shouldn't say to protect the
Say the names of the
guilty.
people.
Yeah.
But there were a few amazing things. A few absolutely
Yeah.
amazing
I mean,
things.
I do have one here in my notes here. That's pretty
should be good.
incredible. it says, "Oh, now this is a fucking hack. We keep reloading the goddamn player.cvtv file, all 293 friggin' bytes of it, over and over and over, seeking over and over and over. Load it once. Don't know the regular way to do this. Fuck it. Shipping time."
There's a few of those.
Yeah.
Who that could be based on that language. I won't name the name, but
There too.
You have an idea? That's funny. Yeah, it's, I mean, I've seen some examples for other games too, but I feel like a lot of programming stuff has comments like
yeah.
that.
is that a thing you teach, Jeff?
Oh yeah, yeah.
comes
this
naturally.
is,
Yeah, it's just natural. You know,
Lesson
you have to teach
one.
it.
Yeah,
Very good.
it's,
Is it like therapeutic doing that?
yeah, it's,
Keeps you from going crazy?
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
I don't think it keeps you from going crazy. It just stops you from going crazier.
Okay. It's
works.
at a workable level of crazy,
Yeah.
sure. Oh, man. So yeah, I guess, are there any, we mentioned some of the bullet points of, you know, some big changes. Are there any other big changes that we can mention right now that will be happening that aren't just like, you know, minutia in the change list or anything like that? We talked about the audio. We've talked about a couple other things. I think we've hit all the major points, haven't we? Console DLC.
Yeah, console
Isn't it?
DLC will be coming to PC.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that. A lot of people never have played it, and it's quite fun. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward for everyone else to be able to play that, to be able to play that.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think those are the big points, aren't they?
Yeah, I know you got most of the performance and stability stuff done.
That's a lot better than it was. I'm
Yeah.
really it's still not perfect, but it's much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you've started work on the Steam networking piece and tracking down some bugs there, but that's implemented.
Yeah, so multiplayer's in, co-op's in. I'm still testing and bug fixing that at the moment. That's my main aim at the moment. That's been really quite difficult to test because there's so much multiplayer to test because, I mean, it's a massive co-op game, absolutely massive. And some bugs only happen in later missions, for example. So
Yeah.
I've had to play through huge chunks of it, and it's just terrible. I mean, I can't imagine how hard it is to play through a game you love.
And chat wants us to clarify that there will be co-op.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Co-op
Yeah.
is coming back.
Totally.
And in the multiplayer mode, so
Yeah.
Strong arm.
Strong Arm and Gangsta Brawl.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got to admit, I'm quite guilty. I'd never played Strong Arm or Monster Ball before.
Well, now you,
I start
you have
working
an
on it.
excuse as we start testing.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's, man, all of that is really exciting, and I was almost getting ready to start playing it just on my own a little bit, just because I was just like, I first started hearing this project was happening, and I was just like, oh, this feels like so far away. I don't know. Like, I have a backlog at home and like list at home like what I'm going to play because there's way too many games out there. Like Saints Row 2 was like number 2 there, and now I have to push it down more, and I gotta wait, and that sucks.
I can't wait to like show you like just the grand like glory of how much fun co-op is. I actually created that Gentleman in the Row group and started doing the modding simply to try to attract more people to play the game with. That was like the whole personal drive of mine is like, ooh, hey, if we create this group, then we'll always have co-op partners to play with and attracting new people and playing co-op with them. I just loved co-op so much that this just felt like a natural evolution. And then all the modding stuff was more about, I want to set up a very stable version of a mod pack so that we can all play co-op with mods together.
Yeah.
Because even the smallest difference between the host and the client with different data files would just cause the game to just hang on load, just to crash. So like that was the whole purpose of the start of everything, was like just to play more co-op and to be able to incorporate extra community content in there in a stable way, so we can just extend like the joy of the game, the features of the game even more, so for even more fun. So
Yeah, and now of course when we do the our playthrough on our streams in the future, you know, we're having devs on and stuff. At some point, are we going to start vanilla SR2, and then we're going to bring mods in a little bit?
we'll have to see. I have
see?
some
Alright.
ideas about that, about that kind of stuff. So.
Okay. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, I have seen a decent helping of the SR2 mods, and that old Let's Play that you showed me with the, I really want the skateboard mod.
The skateboard mod is a huge amount of fun. But we'll talk about that. We'll figure that out. At the very minimum, we will certainly do certain sessions that have certain mods installed
Yeah,
and stuff
totally.
and play around with them.
So I guess with all of this happening, this free patch, bringing all these fixes and all of that, Mike, do you have like a how do I want to say this? I just thought this right now. I was
Sounds
looking.
scary.
Yeah, making it sound really
It's gonna be
scary.
good.
Mike, I'm going to
Should
put you on
totally
the
ask
spot. No, I guess this is, this has been kind of a project that's a long time coming. Is this kind of just a big love letter to the fans for waiting for so long for any SR2 stuff?
Well, I mean, yeah, the whole concept. I mean, this speaks to Mike and Jim, and Jeff. I've got to say that like the whole decision to do this and like to move forward and like why it's like one, it was like a super easy conversation. It was much easier than I ever thought it would be. Like everyone saw the value of it. Everyone like was super on board to give this gift back.
Yeah.
To the fans of our older games, Saints Row 1 and 2, right? Like, one, it was a super easy decision, and two, it just feels like just this great gift, right, that we can give back for this game.
Yeah. And Thomas, like
We're
working.
kind of correcting an injustice, right? Like,
There's always a couple of games out there that have been out for a long time. They just never received the fixes that they so desperately needed. And like I'm into fixing this stuff too, just because like we've done in the past through some of our streams. Like I am also into like preserving like game history and like patches and all that stuff is kind of a big part of making sure that like gaming history is like still accessible to people. Like it would suck if computer hardware like goes on even further and like SR2 is just literally unplayable entirely, like not even just buggy. So like the fact that we can do this and like keep it going for further generations is like really important to me. It also makes me very happy from like a historical standpoint. Also, I like being able to say that Saints Row 2 is a historical moment.
all right, I can go with that. Ooh, you should talk to him about draw distance too.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah?
So one of the things that a lot of people always complain about was seeing things like cars despawn, or you just couldn't see far enough into the distance. And with the fact that we've done some performance work, we can now crank that if you've got a good enough machine. You can have it draw way off in the distance if you want.
Sniper rifles are finally
amazing.
useful.
Yay!
Go figure.
NPCs don't just disappear when you try to snipe them. Hooray!
I more than doubled the draw distance when I was testing just to try it, and it was
Wow.
fine. And I don't have that mod on the PC anymore that I'm testing it on, so
Man, that's crazy.
I'm happy.
We were getting a couple of questions in chat about localization for this patch and how it'll impact the German version of the game. Can we talk about that at all right now?
Jim?
Not as easily, no.
Okay.
It's a
we had a
separate build, I mean,
conversation, yeah.
Yeah, it's a separate build, so it makes it a little more challenging in the sense that because of the changes that would occur, it would be bringing in, so I
Right.
understand it, would be bringing in some of the content that previously wasn't allowable within that region. So it's not as simple as just patching it, having it go universal, because that one was a separate build
Okay.
based on that region.
bit
So
tricky.
Yeah.
so it makes it a little more challenging.
But it's not a hard no, right? I mean, we're
Correct.
talking about
That
this,
is
about
exactly correct.
how to approach it.
Yep.
Right. Okay. So yeah, at this point, like, we've talked about it a little bit, but I guess are there any other details, like, going even before we started working on this, the two of you started working on this patch, are there any other details the two of you want to talk about how you two met? Like, we kind of went over it, like, very surface level to start there. But, yeah, how, like, what was the chain of events that really led, like, all the way to, like, going, like, Thomas, you're the dude for this?
Wow. So, very originally, I bought Saints Row 2 on PC and thought, this is great. Started looking and found Gentleman of the Road, which already existed at that point. It was quite early, I think, at that point, and I played it, loved it. I mean, I think it's my second favourite game, which the other one has to be Free Space 2. But
Oh, nice. Making him happy.
Fantastic game right there.
Another
But-
sequel.
I looked around for a bit, and I came back to it a few months later and thought, I'd really love to get involved with this. Because I came back to it, started playing it again, and thought, there are changes I'd love to make. And I asked Mike, what do you guys need? What's missing from the toolset you have? And he said to me, we can't edit textures. So that was the first thing I did. I got texture editing working. It was a bit rudimentary, but it worked.
What was the first thing you did to test? Was it the red gun?
Yeah, I did
The red gun?
It was programmer art.
Okay.
I took the NR4 and I just turned it red.
Okay.
Solid red.
And it was so exciting. We're just like, oh my gosh, we can change the texture.
Yeah.
Accomplished.
Yeah, no, I'm not artistic. But after that, we slowly moved on. We moved on to Saints Row 3. And then Mike, and we started getting involved with Volition around Saints Row 4 time. And I was really grateful in that Volition started really reaching out to us, really helping us.
We had a lot of Volition devs on our saintsrowmods.com forum, giving file format information, answering questions, helping out. We ended up with help from Volition fixing one of the gang DLC packs. There were certain things like the Decker's fishnet stockings were a solid black instead of fishnet. So they helped us with Volition helped with that. Helped with one of the earrings was shifted slightly off the ear, so got the positioning corrected. It was such a really great relationship that we developed with our modding community and us with Volition. And that's actually what led to the offer to me to start, doing contract work, monitoring the forums, and eventually the gig on site for the CM.
Yeah. And then the next step was, unfortunately, THQ's bankruptcy.
Right, yeah.
And
No, that was it?
when
Yeah,
it killed the saintsrow.com site.
That's right, yeah.
And unfortunately, it broke the My Steelport feature. So you couldn't share your characters from 3 and 4 anymore. I spoke to one of the devs at Volition here and said, what can we do about this? And this was around the time we were talking about the workshop patch for Saints Row 4. And I said, well, it doesn't look that bad to make something for PC. And if any of you have seen it, I am shamelessly promoting myself. On the Saints Row Mods website, there is a My Steelport emulator now. So I built that way back when Saints Row 4 workshop patch was being worked on. And I showed that to Mike. And I think he passed it on to, I think it was Kate.
I can't remember who exactly I talked to at Volition. I was working here at the time, and I said, hey guys, Thomas Jepp here just is a very rudimentary emulator for PC as a replacement for My Steelport, which doesn't work anymore. What if we maybe contracted him to actually fix it? And everyone was like, yeah, okay, let's give it a try.
And yeah, that was the first thing that I did directly for Volition. And that was actually a really interesting project because it starts off quite simple. You think you've got something that mostly works, and then you dig into, well, it's got to work with this website, it's got to work with 360, it's got to work with PlayStation Network, and a load of rabbit holes, but it was a really interesting project. We got it working. It was live for quite a while after that. Unfortunately, it's dead now. But,
well, yeah, we permanently took it down. The decision was made.
but it was a couple of years that it was up
Yeah.
for after that. And around the same time, we did the Steam Workshop patch release, and I built the upload tool for that. And that kind of slowly but surely led into this.
One of the great things about Thomas and I was that we worked really well together because I always wanted to push the games, right? Like I wanted more capabilities, more tools.
Yeah.
And Thomas built those tools to enable me to create more content and all the other modders as well. but we've always had this great relationship where I'm just like, oh, if we could only do this. And Thomas would say, hey, hold my beer.
That's great.
And then produce like tools that like really helped. But it's been such a great like 10 years like working with you on this, and finally meeting with you for the first time, and our work on fixing SR2 PC now. It's just crazy. It's just crazy good.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really cliche phrase, but it really is a labour of love. I really love Saints Row 2. It's a game that not enough people have played.
You're
It's
a man
game
of
that-
exceptional taste.
It's a game we're going to make more people play.
I think
Yeah.
so too. Yeah.
Starting with Josh.
I'm going to play it.
One player at a time, if necessary.
There'll be tons of documented evidence of me playing Saints Row 2. But yeah, I guess, you saying that the both of you having played so much of SR2, I'm guessing that also probably like helped speed up work a lot on like actually fixing things, right? Because you probably already had so much stuff already like documented ahead of time that needed to be fixed, right?
Oh yeah. A lot of the fixes and stuff. Like I'm intimately familiar with all the table files, all the scripts, and it's just like, oh yeah, I did. I obviously having to look back at the work I did and go, point, pick stuff out. Like it's all. I spent so much time on it that this is all just like second nature to me.
Yeah, I mean, you were showing me like some of the work you've had to do, and like some of the unexpected work that you've had to do with some of this stuff. But you said like you thankfully were able to save yourself a lot of time, right? Just based on comments and stuff you wrote and earlier stuff you made.
Oh yeah. I kept detailed change logs of pretty much everything that went into this big patch and all the stuff. So it was really easy to go back through that and sort it all out and figure out what was what.
Yeah.
After being away from it for so long.
God, thank God you did that though. Just imagine it. Like, right?
Well, players would come to me and say, hey, before I even go there, the one thing to understand about Gentlemen of the Row is that the outcome of what it turned into was never what its original intention was. The original intention of the patch was I talked about this a little earlier, to give a cohesive, standardized modding patch with content for people to play co-op together without risk of crashing. But the other piece of it was at the time, we wanted to, it was less about that and more about a showcase for all the modders on saintsrow.com to showcase all their little pieces and fixes and texture work. But as the mod grew and it became kind of like the de facto standard with the PC, getting the PC version to run correctly with a lot of the fixes, I really wish that I had gone the other way around and basically made all of these little additions,
Right.
rather than a showcase for modders, but like an optional addition to put in to keep the game as vanilla as possible and add all these little extra things that players might like to put in. But that's how I'm approaching the new version in that sense, where we want to keep it, keep it optional, right?
Right.
So.
And you said that in even after this patch first comes out, we're gonna be taking feedback from players and stuff so that we can fix any like outlying issues. And you're talking about the new version of Gentlemen of the Row, but do you see yourself still like working on mods of some sort like further into the future?
Well, it's tough because it's tough juggling that with the job here, which is
Right.
a full-time gig. So it's more about trying to get a final version of this mod pack for the final version of the game.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because we're talking about a lot of improvements. One of the problems with how Saints Row 2 PC works with table files is that, and you can speak to more of this technically, but like you can only put so many entries in a table before they just stop loading. For example, the cheats table, you can add like 150 cheats, and you hit that. If you put in 151, it'll just ignore that. It won't crash the game, but it just will never ever load that or be able to load that cheat. Same with homies, same with weapons. So part of this mod pack was trying to figure out a way to work around those limitations and take all this extra content and put it into different places that may not have been the best fit for them.
Right.
So we're talking about extending those so we can add more homies, more weapons, more cheats, blah blah blah. And how do we approach that to have it be the very best way to do that, right, as part of this mod pack.
Right.
So, but with that, with the capability to do that, it's a different approach, I think, to how we're going to be designing the actual modded stuff.
All right, cool. Did you ever imagine, while just before working here, any of that stuff, like working on Gentleman on the Road, did you ever imagine it would escalate to this?
No, I mean, it was always a dream, right? But
Yeah.
I never thought that it would actually happen, right?
Yeah.
But it's always been every single thing with this game and with Volition. It always felt like a weird Hail Mary pass, right? Like what would it hurt if we asked Volition to support the modding community, right? What would it hurt if we pushed the idea of maybe fixing my steel port, right? Mm-hmm. All they can do is say no, right?
Yeah.
And it just keeps with these ideas and pushing these things in with Saints Row 2 PC. It all kind of just makes sense, right? And, and they happen.
Yeah. And speaking of that, Jim, how frequently did he really bother you about SR2 back in the day?
I wouldn't say he ever bothered me, but he brought it up a time or two.
Okay.
I would say
That's a good answer.
Is that the right way to word it?
Sure.
He certainly was not shy about his passion for Saints Row 2.
Oh, yeah.
That's for sure. And so I think him being able to talk about that semi-frequently, and then it kind of opened the door for him being able to talk about other things. So
Yeah.
so that's a roundabout way of saying I think he handled it very nicely. It wasn't just that he was coming by and constantly begging for us to do all these things.
I really was.
Even though that was, he
Jim's
used the
being
right
nice.
vehicle to get to that point by just talking about, his love
Right.
and affection for this game.
It was always tinged with sadness too, right? I'd come and go, Jim, I know that we'll never be able to ever do this, and oh gosh.
And I always
but-
we said, you're right, you never will be able to do this. We don't have the source code, so
Yeah, so yeah.
And now we suddenly are.
And here we go.
are. Right.
Full steam ahead.
Yeah, it's you told me about oh, this might finally be happening, and that was a while ago, and just eventually it was proposed this anniversary is coming up, that might line up really well with being able to reveal this and stuff, and I had this marked off in my calendar in the office for a long time, and it's just even just waiting that time, I cannot believe the amount of patience you have for doing this.
I don't know. Maybe I'm not that patient because with the tweets that I made and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure.
There are some people out there who have put the pieces together and actually theorized. What's crazy is that someone called Thomas, being on the stream today, and I'm like, how the heck did they even put those pieces together to come up with that?
So someone predicted that you would be
Yes.
on?
Literally last
Oh, that's
night.
impressive.
Oh wow.
I think it was because on Twitter I basically said, "Ooh, I'm picking up someone special for the stream at the airport," and it was like, "Is it Arif Kinchin?" And I responded back, "No, it's not Daniel Day Kim. No, it's not Kim Michaels. Right? All these different voice actors."
Yeah.
And then someone asked, "Is it minimaul?" And I didn't say anything. So that was probably
The mission
key.
of silence was
Yeah.
deafening.
Oh man. So we're getting. It looks like we're getting some questions in the chat about whether or not we're showing gameplay today, and yeah, we are not because the patch is still being worked on.
Unfortunately, it's still not ready yet.
Yeah,
Right.
There's still some more time, but
We discussed the possibility, what would it really take to
Yeah.
get this done by this stream date? And it was just, we were already kind of killing ourselves a little bit to with all the work that we're doing on it in
I
our
think-
spare time.
I think we would have had to have not slept.
And I've
Yeah.
been there. I have not slept for the cause. I was up for about 3 days straight trying to get Xbox 360 button prompts to work for the PC version way back in the day. That was a weird. I drink a lot of coffee. I got it working. But
I remember there in just the past few weeks there were a couple days where I was just hey Mike, and you're just like, hey.
But yeah, we're still. I mean, it's still early, right? We're
Yeah.
still tracking down this stuff. I think we've made a lot of good progress, but we're a little hesitant about talking about an actual release date until we're a little more sure about when the stuff is going to be resolved. Just because As we stated earlier, it's basically a two-man show.
Yeah.
It's Thomas and I working on this, so we don't take our devs away from our new project, our new Saints Row game, which, it's a lot of extra work, but doing this in our free time, it's hard to commit to an actual date. But I mean, we feel really good about it. Like, we think it will be done, Like, it's not like, oh, can we do it? If there's any question about that, we would not be talking about it today.
Totally.
It's just a matter of time. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the viewer count for the stream. It looks like some more people funneled in a little bit later who may have missed a couple of key things we said at the start. So I guess to quickly cover those again. One, this patch is for the Steam version. It's a separate ID. Game
Separate
ID,
app
right?
ID, yep.
Yeah.
Separate app ID. It's free.
Yes, if you own the game on Steam right now, you will automatically, for free, get access to this new version of the game with all of these fixes, including integrating Steam networking for multiplayer and co-op, and then also adding the console DLC, which the PC version never got. All for free. Happy birthday.
Hey. And yeah, on top of that, the patch will come out when we're comfortable with it and it's actually finished. We don't want to say that yet when that is.
And also now that we've made this announcement, right? We've announced that we found the source code. We're fixing this game. We've talked about how far along we are. We can be a little bit more open about where we are in the process from here on out.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, I am still super excited for when we can actually show it running and all of that, and play it. I just want to play it really bad, Mike.
I'm more excited about getting it into players' hands and, with all these these improvements and creating some more joy in the world, right?
It's been so hard not to.
I know that sounds cheesy,
Yeah.
but I'm totally into that. I totally want as many people as possible to play and enjoy this game the way it was meant to be.
It's
Yeah.
been so hard keeping it under wraps.
I bet.
Oh God, I know. Welcome to my world, man.
Yeah. And I'm sure when this was still really early on and coming to fruition here, I'm just sure at that point, because it wasn't solidified, anybody who was asking about oh, you're going to do anything with SR2, I'm sure you still had to say there's no plans.
Oh, it's funny. On Saints Row Discord, a lot of people would come and go, man, it's really such a shame that the PC version never got the console DLC. And I'm typing and be like, such a real shame. Waiting for this day where we can finally talk about it.
Yeah, and
I never lied.
Yeah.
It is a shame.
It is a shame. And I would say, people would be like, oh, why can't you fix the game? And I would say, well, during the Thq Bankruptcy auction, we lost the source code.
Yeah.
So, I mean, sin of omission, right? I didn't follow that up with, but no, we found it.
Wink.
But I never, it was always true, right?
Yeah. All factual.
All factual.
Yeah, I'm sure there is one aspect of that where it was just frustrating not being able to tell people, but on the other hand, it's just you got this really big secret under wraps. You're just oh, I got him.
I've been pretty giddy for the last few months, to be honest.
Yeah, I had noticed, especially the day you told me we had it.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I don't remember if I was here or you weren't here the day it was confirmed we got it, because I don't remember, because I feel if I would have been here the day that you found out that oh, we got the source code, you would have been yelling up and down the hallways that we got it. I don't remember that happening, so I must have not been
Must not
here.
have been here, yeah, because I was pretty excited.
I'm sad that I missed that. I should have been filming that, man. Yeah, it is 2:58. We're actually getting close to streaming for an hour here. Mike and Thomas, do you have any other things you want to say to the fans regarding this project before we potentially wrap stuff up here?
Well, just continue to be patient. It's coming. It's all, the stars aligned, and it's going to be awesome. It's already awesome. It's going to be even more awesome.
Yeah.
And as a fan myself, I really want this to be the best it can be. I love this game. Way more than some people know.
Oh, I know.
But we really are striving to make it the best release of Saints Row 2 that it can be. We really want it to work for everyone that we can manage to possibly make it work for. We really want it to be as close to perfect as you can do.
I want players to say if you want to play Saints Row 2, you should play it on PC. I want that to be like the standard, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like okay, players can still play it on console, but I want players to say, you want the ultimate Saints Row experience? Man, the PC port now is awesome. That's my goal with this whole thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And there's something I meant to ask earlier, and that was both of you said like, oh yeah, we played, a ton of this game. Like you've listed like thousands of hours. Do you have, I know Steam logs playtime, but you've obviously played it outside of the Steam version too. Do you have some type of mechanism that's like accurately logging how many, or is this just like a estimate?
It's more of an estimate.
Okay.
I did the math in my head based on other versions of the game outside of Steam, and came up with basically about half the work was done on Steam, about half the work was done on a different version outside of Steam.
Okay.
So
Nice.
about 2,000 hours.
About 2,000. Oh man.
And I never once, whenever I was modding it, working on it, in modding SR2 was tough, and you can attest to this, because you couldn't really test stuff in game and change it. So I'd have to go, like, for example, at some of the cribs I added extra light cones. And I had to manually extrapolate XYZ coordinates based on other XYZ coordinates to figure out where the coordinate was. This was before Power Tools came out, where we had that coordinate function. So I'd have to go, based on these, I'm triangulating it that this mission replay light cone for the airport hangar should go here at these coordinates. So I'd load the game and I'd go look at it and go, oh, it's slightly off, and then try to like massage it and tweak it and like move all these like hours and hours and hours of like fine tuning like light cone positioning. And I was never bored. It was never like, I never felt like, oh, what a drag. It was always like, this is going to be awesome. I was always so excited. And every time I would mod the game and make a change, I'd always like try it out, like when I improved like the flamethrower. And I would end up having so much fun that I wouldn't just test it out. I'd just be like testing it out for like a couple hours, like lighting NPCs on fire and having the time of my life. And there's never a drudge, never a drag, always on point, always fun. That's why I love the game so much.
I've done that while testing.
Right?
I've made a change. I've gone in game to test it quickly, and all of a sudden it's like an hour and a bit later. It's like, oh, yeah.
Like you talking about like placing those light cones. I remember just like a week or two ago, you were telling me about a really funny bug that happened with those. It was specific. I think it was a limitation of how many cones could be in one area of the city.
Oh, Lord. So, any piece of extra content with Saints Row had the potential to break something wildly different that I would never expect. Adding more light cones to cribs ended up like breaking one of the pathing segments for Septic Avenger level 6 in a certain area. So a lot of the modding stuff that we did, that I did, like I would make this change and be like, hooray, this is great. And then people would come back like 3 months later, hey, like all of a sudden, Septic Avenger level 6, halfway through the activity, it doesn't have a waypoint now. So I'd go, oh gosh, I'll let me revert and try all these old builds to try to figure out where I broke it. Why did I break it? I wouldn't say every single change that I made to the game did that, but there were a huge number of them.
Yeah.
It's a very touchy game to mod.
It's not just modding that would do that, to be honest.
Well,
Every now and then you would see a bug come in, and it's like, how in the world did that change have anything to do with affecting this other thing? And that's in development sometimes, so it's
Oh yeah.
not to say you don't have it worse in mods, but just that's
it was like
be
putting up
true in development too.
It was like putting up wallpaper and you get like an air bubble and you press the air bubble down. Except it doesn't just put another air bubble on the same piece of wallpaper. It puts it like in a cellar where you'll never see it for a month.
Yeah.
And then I have to come back and fix it. But it was never a headache. It was always just kind of fun to keep pushing at it and trying to make this compilation of all these hundreds of mods all play nice together. Not just for single player, but also co-op. Whew, a lot of work, but ultimately, like, worth it. I like to think that I extended the fun of the game and gave people some cool stuff and toys to play with.
Yeah, I mean, like mods are like for a lot of games, especially like single player mods, are just kind of what keep a lot of time keep a game alive for like way longer than a normal game's lifespan would be. Like I feel like that's a big part of why, like even before I started working here, like Saints Row 2 is still like it still felt like kind of a new game to me, just because like whatever thread I would go to, somebody would bring it up just because like, oh, here's this new mod or whatever. But like talking about like all those, working with modding and like doing something like, it would cause like something else to get broken elsewhere. Like it's really difficult to, I'm sure, to like fix those things in modding when you have the source code. Is trying to fix stuff like that a lot easier?
Yes and no.
Okay. All right.
The classic example was the one I gave earlier, where one small change suddenly had all the NPC animations playing wrong, so the legs were flipping like that when they walked. That was nothing to do with the animation system that I broke on that.
I would think that'd be pretty easy to spot right away, though.
It took me a little while, actually, because it wasn't all NPCs. It was about half.
I take it back.
But yeah, that was nothing to do with the actual animation stuff that I was touching when I did that. But so it does make some things easier, especially because the test versions, for example, have extra checks. So they tell you, have you got too many entries, for example. But there are still weird and wonderful things that happen that you can't predict. And sometimes tracing them back takes a very long time.
Yeah, I bet. So one more thing, like when working on this and all that, like what was the support from Volition like while working on this? Like when you had any issues working with anything, like.
It's been pretty great, actually. When we were first getting set up with Jeff and Volition IT in particular, they were really helpful getting me sorted initially, actually getting me access to the source code. Mike's been super helpful with collating lists of problems, all the little things we wanted to correct, as well as getting our priorities for the bigger things. Mike Kulas has been really supportive as well. It's been wonderful so far.
Speaking of Mike, I was kind of in shock when we had our meeting initially, and when they pitched the idea about Thomas, and Mike was like, Kulas was like, let's do it. It was like so awesome, like to just be like, wow, yeah, let's do it. Like there wasn't any like real, let's think about this for a week and meet back up. It just felt so good to like. Just move forward with that. Thank you.
It's fun to move forward on things.
Yeah, but not in like a heel dragging kind of way. Just like, yes, this makes sense. Yes, this is a great thing for our players to do. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's just super satisfying to not only see, like, after a long time just looking for the source code, just being able to go like, oh, we got it, and just seeing everything come to fruition like pretty quickly. Like all things considering all that, like even just for a patch, just like imagining like trying to get a patch together for, an 11-year-old game, it's just, I don't know, I just imagine that it would just take a much longer time just because...
Right, a lot more hoops, hurdles, issues.
I really thought there was going to be more of those, not for any like, bad reasons or anything. It's just like there's got to be a lot of stuff going on here, right?
Oh, it wasn't as easy as it sounds. We had a couple of days before I could even get it to build. Before I even got an EXE to come out that we could run. When I first got it built, we had no audio at all. It was completely silent. And then I got it to the point where it was playing the wrong sounds.
What?
So when you were walking, you'd hear shooting sounds. Or
Wow.
Sounds like a good cheat.
It does.
That's a cheat I want to see, yeah.
So it took a while to get it just to the point where, it ran like it did before, even.
Right.
Because no one's got build instructions for a game that's 11 years old.
Right.
We had to figure that out from scratch. We had to figure out what revision of certain dependencies does it expect, things like that. And then update it a little to work with newer ones.
Yeah. Jeff, him talking about, basically having to figure out how to build all that stuff from scratch. How many people here would have even still known how to deal with that?
Cool.
5, 3.
Yeah, it's only a handful of because we're talking programmers that would have been able to do it. So yeah, it'd probably been about 5 or so.
Wow. Okay. glad we did this when we did then.
But even of those 5, I mean, it's so out of their memory now.
Yeah.
Right,
And
I'm sure
it would
it's
probably be
still-
the least inclined to do it. It's like I turned the page on that game a decade ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it's also weird just to go back to something that you may have worked on like from so long ago, because it's like, even I've only worked on one game before our current project, and even that game, which was, I was still working on a year and a half ago, I still think like, that's done and dusted. Like, and every once in a while it's just like, oh, I got to go back to something from here for some weird reason. What? I don't. It looks like we may be getting another question from the chat here too. Oh yeah, so. We're probably getting pretty close to the end of the stream now. But for people who came in late, if you want to rewatch this stuff, we will be posting this stream to our YouTube channel pretty soon. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/VolitionTube. All of our streams get posted there, actually, so if there's ever something you've wanted to see and you missed out, or just check out our archives, because we've done, in the past few years, we've done... we had a big anniversary stream just for the entire franchise, and we had devs come on to talk while we played like older, like still in production builds of the games. So if you want more like SR2 info, like we got a ton of that.
Yeah, and then also once we end this stream, you'll be able to watch it again right on Twitch.
Yeah,
on our channel.
Yeah, there'll be the VOD too on our channel.
And I'm going to rewatch it because then I can read all the comments
Oh yeah.
from people.
Yeah. But yeah, on top of that, if you want to just stay up to date on what we're doing, as well as potentially seeing any further announcements regarding the patch and stuff, we're on Twitter as DS Volition. There is the Saints Row Twitter as well, and yeah. Again, the YouTube is youtube.com/VolitionTube. We're streaming Monday today just because it's the date of the anniversary, but if you want to catch up on our future streams, because we do them weekly, they're actually Thursdays at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific. That is generally when we do them, except for special occasions like this. But yeah, is there anything else you want to say quick, Mike or Thomas, before we wrap up here? I feel like we covered a lot. We actually covered like just like looking at this, because like I have this huge timeline of events for this whole thing, just because like I'm gonna forget some at some point something here, and it's
I
just
spent
like
an afternoon writing out like a Word document with the entire history of Thomas and I and our modding experience and how all the different steps with trying to get the source code and like what happened at the meetings and like what dates that my tweets related to and which pieces of it, so that Josh would have like an outline to use as questions.
We should make like a Volition history book so that this can be all like properly.
Be awesome.
But yeah, it's just I wanted to check up with you because I feel like we covered so much like faster than I was expecting to. So I feel like crazy. Just like, did I forget to bring up something really important?
I think we got all of it.
Yeah, I think we got everything.
It's already awesome. It's going to be even more awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, just we'll be sharing news like when people actually get to play it soon.
Yeah.
Or maybe not soon, but when we're ready.
Yeah, when we're ready.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody, and being so patient with us, with that tiny little glimmer of hope that was finding the source code so that we could do things to SR2. But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Yeah, check out our social media stuff to stay up to date on the news with this and all that. Again, I'm Josh Stinson, the video editor and stream producer here on the couch. We have
Mike Watson, senior community developer.
Thomas Jepp, aka Minimaul.
Modding wizard.
Jeff Slaughter, studio director of programming.
Jim Boone, Studio Development Director.
Mike Kulas, general manager.
and we had Derek doing the modding for us today. Thanks, Derek.
You're welcome. Thanks, Derek.
And yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. And we'll see you on stream again next week. Later.
Bye.
Bye.